Hey, it's Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Wednesday. It's June 11th. This will be our chart lesson for the day. And as you can see on the daily chart, we had another down day today. We still bounced off the lows. We're off of the trend line. So still no close outside this trend line yet. We did turn down off the midline of the original range from way back in early part of the year, first couple of months of the year. So we're back in that range again. We're close to a measured move on these both of these uh, measurement types. So we could be getting close to a high here. It's hard to say because we could be headed up here, and we've actually got a new spike in channel going here, so we could just keep going for a while. So it's hard to know where we're headed at this point, except we're still headed up. That's all I can tell you for now until we get a close outside, a convincing close outside this trend line right here. Then we're still in an uptrend. So that's how I see it anyway. But there it is. Um, Looks similar on the 2000 tick chart. Let's flip over there and take a look at it, and we'll go through the trades and we'll wrap this day up. Okay, as you can see, today is very similar to yesterday, except it's just a mirrored image, a flip-flop of it. Yesterday, we were sideways with kind of a downward trend, or I'm sorry, we were sideways with kind of an upward trend. We were kind of in a range that trended upwards, and today we're in a range that trended downwards. So it's just almost a mirror flip-flop image. Um, the channel is not as clear as it was yesterday, or not. I wouldn't say as clear because it is clear, but I believe yesterday we never got a break of it until late in the afternoon, and we got a break a little earlier on this one. But otherwise, it's pretty much the same thing. We were downhill and then recovered some of it, and yesterday we were uphill and then recovered some of it back into the range. So very similar type day, just flip flop. So few more trades today though. We got a few more setups than we did yesterday. So you had some more opportunities today than you did yesterday. But let's zoom in here. There was a 7:30 a.m. high volatility news. I think this is for tomorrow, so ignore that. It'll probably fall off as soon as the market opens. But all we had today were these three CPI, and I marked that off here. So you really had to wait till after that to trade. So the first trade was around 7:40 this morning, about 10 minutes after the news came out. But notice we had this trend working up, close outside, move to a new high, and we turned down. And look how far we are away from the EMA when this set up here. So that's why I like it. And that turns out to be a nice move down. If you catch that, maybe all you need for the day. But then we get in this range and we make a lower high here that plays off of a possible trend line, and we confirmed it there, in my opinion. When we get here, we definitely confirmed it. And that would be a second entry, but you're not really looking for second entries here. You're just playing this as a lower high. The key is, do you have room to scalp out between here and the low? And you do. It doesn't end up mattering. It goes lower. So you might have got more than that out of it, but it just depends on if you waited out this pullback here, this sideways stuff, and how much room you gave your runner and that kind of thing. So if you played it conservative, you probably didn't get a runner off that. But it turns out to be a nice move down, and you're just kind of working sideways, and we get a little failed break lower. It comes back in, you're working sideways, and it turns down again. We actually get a close outside. I don't see a setup I like. This is too sideways. You can't go short right there. If you had, you could have survived that, but I just don't think you can enter there. I don't think it's a good enough entry. And I think it's a little early to try to enter. You might mark this as green. I think you need a higher low, and you don't really get one. Then you're just working sideways again. And notice we had a 1, 2, 3, and then a quadruple test here with a nice signal bar, plenty of room to get out. And this turns into a spike in channel. So if you caught this one, you probably caught a nice runner again. And if you caught a runner there, you're probably done for the day. As this runs up, you get a close outside first entry, turns down again. Technically, there was a tick higher there that would constitute a second entry by the counts, but to me that still looks like two legs back, and there's also a triple test there. So there's several different reasons to like that entry. It's close to not being in the upper 1/3, but I think it's close enough. The fact that it's a second, it looks like a second entry and it's a triple test, and we're expecting a retest of this high. I like the entry. You might wait on the high or low, and if you do, you don't get one. And of course, you get two legs up followed by a lower high here. So I like entering on short on that lower high. And once again, the bottom just kind of falls out. So it's a very nice move, and you probably would have had a runner on it. Runs all the way down. I mean, that's a really, I mean, that's like 13.5 points there. You could easily get 10 points out of that. And then it bounces. Two legs back, and you get a second entry right here. Clearly see two legs back with a second entry way above the EMA. And then you actually get a lower high here. If this would have closed above the EMA, I'd probably tell you to sit on that one. But it closes below, so if you get a break below it, just go with it. I think you have to take that on a lower high, following the second entry. This is just sideways stuff. Just skip that. First entry, and this is a second entry lower high, but that signal bar doesn't qualify, so you can't go. It's really moved too far to be a lower high, but it is a second entry, and if you'd had a good signal bar there, I'd tell you to go short, but you don't, so you just have to skip that one. Then we run back, and you just get a first entry here and here, and you did have a break of this minor channel within the bigger two-tier channel here. When we run back to the trend line, you just get a first entry there, and there's a second entry here, but you can't enter there, and you're just kind of bouncing along. There is a triple test here, but it doesn't break above, and we're in a downtrend, so I don't think you want to go long there. And this thing runs up, close outside, and then two legs up to a new high, followed by a lower high with a nice signal bar. Go short there. If you'd had a good signal bar there on the second entry, I'd say I'd probably mark it green, but this is a good entry here. You want to go short there. And it just kind of takes off. That's the first entry. And then you get another second entry right at the key entry point. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry. And down it goes, just first entry. This is another second entry, but it doesn't set up well. You can't go short there. And then there's a second entry here. I didn't mark this one because we've had a little failed break lower. It's almost tempting to go long there, but because it kind of closes, it looks like it doesn't quite close in the upper 1/3. It's close, but I just don't like the way it sets up. So, and then you get a second entry here, but that's the first break of that channel. So I'd wait and see if you get a lower high, or if it makes a new high and gives you a setup, which it does run to a new high and then gives you a setup. So if it get a break below that, as long as you got room to get out before getting back to these lows, I think you can take that trade. And it ends up going much lower, but you probably wouldn't have had a runner there. So, oops, didn't mean to do that. And then we bounce. We're running back, close outside new high. Notice that's a second entry short with a close outside, and then it runs to a new high, and then you get a nice signal bar. It actually breaks higher and turns down. I think you want to wait for that to close. The part I don't like about this is it's right into the EMA, and you never know if it's going to push back through there again or not. So I did mark that one green. And it does end up making two legs down, and there's a second entry long there. But I don't think you have a convincing close outside here. This is actually supposed to be like so. So I don't think you can go long there yet. It runs up. You get a first entry and then a second entry. So I like taking that second entry right at the key entry point. And then you get a lower high to boot on top of that. I like taking it too. Both of them are only good enough for a scalp, and then it turns higher again. And this is a double bottom, so technically this is another second entry here. I did not mark it, but I think you could argue for it to at least be green. I think you need a lower high there, and you don't get one. It just takes off. And notice it's running down, close outside, move to a new low, and then it bounces and just kind of works sideways. We do get a triple test here with a nice signal bar. I like going short there. And if this one would have been a little bit sooner, it's a little late. It's like 2.5 minutes into after 2:30 there, so it's close. I always say a minute or so or two, but maybe you take that one. I don't know. And once you get into 2:30, you got to be real careful because if you make a mistake there, you don't have time to make it back in most cases. So, but that's a pretty good setup. It's right off the highs again, and you got room to scalp out. So maybe you take it. And I got us into 2:30, and so that was it. But wasn't a bad trading day today. A little bit, a few more trades, a little bit easier, some easier setups, I guess I should say. And yeah, you had the chance to find a couple of easy trades today for a change. So some of these sideways days have been very low volume and very difficult to trade, but today was a little easier in my opinion. So if you struggle, it doesn't mean anything, but don't take it that because I said it was an easier day. It's just easier than it was the last couple of days. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it was an easy trading day or anything like that. But there were some setups that should be rather obvious to find today. So, but anyway, there it is. Yeah, there's not much else I can say about today. I'm assuming this red stuff is for. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe it's just still listed for today, and it's after 5. I don't know what this is, why it hadn't fallen off. Maybe, okay, this was CPI today. This must be PPI for tomorrow, I'm assuming, at 7:30, and unemployment. So, yeah, we do. Maybe that is for tomorrow, different setup. So, we'll see we'll see if it's there for tomorrow. But I think that's what that is. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm not going to beat around the bush and hang around here any longer. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.